Hello Fitsies, today we're going to be talking about 10.2. Our SWABAT is to graph quadratic functions and identify the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So unlike yesterday, today we're going to be looking at y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Yesterday was great because the vertex was always somewhere along the y-axis. Today it could be anywhere it wants to. So now your axis of symmetry, which yesterday was always x equals 0, because it was always going to be on this line, always, always, always. Things are switching up. We're taking you guys up one whole level. So for this, we have some information. If a is positive, that means if the number that it starts off with, the leading coefficient, if it's positive, then it opens up. And this is what opens up looks like. Notice, positive people, what do? They smile. If a is negative, it opens down because negative people tend to frown. So looking at this parabola, would you say that it opens up or down? Well, it opens up, so a would be positive for that one. Smile. Okay, and then from yesterday, we also saw about narrower and wider. If a is a fraction, then it's going to be wider, so it's going to be a little bit kind of a fatty, I would say, kind of like that. And then if a is greater than 1, it's going to be thinner. Kind of like that. Now, some things we need to know. Our axis of symmetry. Yesterday I told you we liked it because it was always x equals 0. Today, going to do some work. We're going to need this formula right here. So if you have a highlighter or if you want to just box it with a little cloud, x equals negative b over 2a. Memorize this formula. You're going to need it for the rest of your life. Maybe not the rest of your life, but for the rest of your time here at Notre Dame. Well, any math class that you have, basically, you're going to need it. Trust me. And then you should also know that that's also going to be helpful because it also gives you the x part of the vertex. So your vertex has a coordinate. The x part is negative b over 2a. And the y part is whatever you get when you plug this value back into the original equation. And then it has a y-intercept of c. Here's what that means. The y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So if you could imagine putting x equals 0 and x equals 0, these would go away and all you'd have left is c. What that basically tells me is that when I make my xy table, use 0 because it's going to be mad easy for me to figure out. So those are some basics that I want you to know from when you're doing this. Let's scroll up. Example 1. So I've given you the steps here for how to graph them. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like a lot, but it's just because we're going to use it kind of as a checklist so that we can really look at these things and investigate them. So we're given y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. The first thing I need you to be able to do, and they might not ask you this explicitly on your homework, but I'm going to ask you it on a quiz, so make sure you can do it. They want you to tell them, does this parabola open up or does it open down? So I'm looking at this, and remember from the top, it's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is your leading coefficient. And if they don't give you a number there, you just put a 1. So a is 1. What's the b? If it's ax squared plus bx plus c. bx. So b is the number in front of the x. So looking at this example, it would be negative 2. So, and the c equals 1. You don't really need that much right now. So determine if it opens up or down. Well, a is what? Positive or negative? It's 1, so it's positive. Positive people smile. So this opens up. The next thing I want me to do is find and draw the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. That was what the formula that we wrote down in red right here. Remember that. Remember it. So negative b, well, the b is negative 2 over 2 times a. What's the a? 1. Then we'll simplify. Negative times a negative is positive 2 over 2. Well, I'm going to go right here. X is equal to 1. This is my axis of symmetry. I'm going to draw that. Maybe I'm going to highlight it at 1. That's not so cute. But that's my axis of symmetry. x equals 1. Label it as you do it. It's going to be helpful. The next thing they want us to do is to find and plot the vertex. So remember here, we have the x part of the vertex. The x part of the vertex is 1. I need this y part. I need this. How do I get it? Well, you go back to your original equation, which was here, and you have y is equal to, it says x squared, so 1 squared, minus 2x, which is 1, plugging directly in here, plus 1. Then you'll simplify. Order of operations. 1 squared is 1, minus 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1. This is, I don't know, it got stuck there, negative 1 plus 1, which is 0. So the y part of it is 0, so 1, 0. We said this opens up, so I'm thinking it's going to go something like that. Label your vertex as well. 1, 0. All right, we're doing well. I think we are anyways. The next thing they would like for me to do is find and plot 2 points on one side of the vertex. So here's what you do. You're to make your xy table. They're asking for 2 points. Here's my vertex. You may have a choice to make, the left side or the right side. You can pick either point you want to, but just pick points that are close to this line. So here are your options. If this is my vertex right here at x equals 1, then I could do either 2, 3 or 0, negative 1. I have to pick a side. 0, negative 1 or 2, 3. If you're like me, you're going to go for what's easiest. I like negative 1 and 0 more because 0 is easier than 2 and 3. From here, you're going to plug them into your original equation, which I can't see. There it is. Kind of. There it is. So y is equal to, going back into this original equation, negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1 plus 1. This is negative 1 squared is positive 1. Negative 2 times negative 1 is plus 2, and then plus 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. So here I get 4. And then I have to do the same thing. So this is for when x was equal to negative 1. For when x is equal to 0. So y is equal to 0 squared minus 2 times 0 plus 1. Well, 0 squared is 0. 2 times 0 minus 0 plus 1 equals 1, which we kind of knew because we said in the beginning that it's 0c and the 0 is 1. I mean, the c is 1. However, people tend to forget that, so I don't really stress it that much because people stress about not remembering it, and then it's just not a good thing. So 0, 1 is here, and then negative 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. I picked 2 points. Here's what I like about these. What I like about these is whatever I do on the left side is going to repeat on the right side. That's why step 4 it says reflect. So whatever is here, just like if this was my left eye, here's my right eye on the other side, if you're imagining this is the nose. So you just go over 1 here. For here, this is 1, 2, 1, 2. That's reflecting the points. You just make sure that whatever you have on this side, you also make happen on this side. Then you don't have to make a super long XY table and waste all your time doing all that. What's my next step? Well, I think I'd like to connect the dots. I'm going to start with a little bit of a happy face. And then I'm just going to go all the way up and cover my entire graph. Yesterday's were a little bit better, but it's fine. You'll forgive me. That's it. Love it. Love it. Let's try another one, shall we? We have a fraction, some fraction action. Doesn't scare me. Hope it didn't scare you. The A is 1/3. The B is 6. And the C, we don't really need that much, but I'm going to write it anyways just to get in habit because we will need it next week. So determine if it opens up or down. Well, A is positive. Positive people, they smile. So this opens up. Find and draw the axis of symmetry. X equals negative B over 2A. So negative B is 6. My B's and 6's look alike. I already know it. And my A is 1/3. Let's simplify. This is negative 6 over 2 times a third is 2/3. Here's why I put this fraction on here. You can't have a fraction over a fraction, but what happens when you divide by a fraction? Remember this is old school, take you back a little bit. You can multiply by the reciprocal. Now these cancel out, and I'm looking at negative 6 over 1 times 3 over 2. This can cancel. This becomes 1. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 3. 6 3 times. So negative 3 times 3. X is equal to negative 9. So that's my axis of symmetry. I'm looking at this graph, and guess what? It doesn't fit. What does that mean? I'm going to go by threes. So this is negative 3, negative 6, negative 9 would be here. Sometimes if you get a number like that, you're just going to have to change the scale. X equals negative 9. Okay, find and plot the vertex. So that's the x part of the vertex, negative 9. I need the y part of it. So we're going to plug back into our original equation. Y equals 1/3 times negative 9 squared plus 6 times negative 9 plus 3. 1/3 times 81 minus 54 plus 3, big numbers, 27 minus 54 plus 3, which equals negative 24. So it looks like I'm also going to need to change my scale in here because I'm obviously not going to go. I could maybe go by 2s, but it doesn't look like that's going to fit, so I'm going to go by 3s here. So negative 3, negative 6, negative 9. Do I have enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, I just barely fit. Negative 24. So this is negative 9, negative 24. Make sure you label it because I will take off points for something like that on a test. That's my vertex. Next thing I need to do is find and plot 2 points on either side. So x and y table. I can pick these two, or I can pick, so this was negative 9, negative 12, and negative 15. I'm obviously going to go for the one that's easier. So that would be, ooh, let's freeze here. Something happened. Lost ya? Sorry about that. I'm going to pick negative 6 and negative 3. So you can plug those in your calculator, and then you can check your answer with my answer that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I did my calculator work, and I got, for negative 6, I got negative 21, and for negative 3, I have negative 12. So I'm going to graph those, negative 6, negative 21. Hopefully you trust my math. And then for negative 3, I have negative 12. Remember, we changed it, so we're going by 3s now. The next thing it says for me to do is to reflect those points. So whatever I have here, the same level and the same distance from the x-axis I have here. I'm sorry, from the axis of symmetry. So this 1, 2, 1, 2. There you go. And then, beautiful people, go ahead and connect your dots. There you go. Ta-da! You've now graphed parabolas. So I'm going to run out of time, and I don't want to have to rush this video. So I'm going to end this one now, and then I'm going to finish up with example 3 in just a little bit. So go ahead, check your notes, make sure you match everything that I have on here, and then part 2 will be much shorter, but it's going to be tell whether the function has a minimum value or a maximum value, then find the minimum or maximum value. See you in a bit.